Welcome back to another episode of Legion of Noobz. I am one of your hosts, Albert, alongside me with my friends, David, Leo, and Pepe. Today's topic is a movie review for Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's get started. Alright, without spoiling the movie, David, can you start off with what do you give it out of 10? And your recommendation of screen it, skip it, or stream it online.
So for me, I really enjoyed the movie. Definitely a screen it. You definitely need to watch it in theaters. And out of 10, I would give it an 8.5, 8.5.
What about you, Leo?
I give it an 8, and I say skip whatever the fuck you're doing right now and go watch it. So screen it, go watch it. It was a fun movie.
I also recommend you watch it at the theater, screen it, and I give it a 7. It's a good watch.
I'll say screen it, watch it in theaters, chill, relax, enjoy it with a good atmosphere. I give it a hard 8. It's a real funny movie. It gets good to it.
All right. So what about? Do you recommend I'm watching it in IMAX 3D? Yes or no?
Just IMAX. Not
Just
3D.
IMAX. I don't think that's an option. I think.
Might be. Some theaters do the surround.
Just the IMAX.
Surround system.
Well,
Yeah.
usually, but okay. If you have an option, okay. So that's what about you, Albert?
For what I paid, I'd say watch it regular.
What about you?
IMAX. IMAX everything.
So you would recommend it in IMAX?
Yeah, why would you ever go back to anything other than IMAX?
Yeah, I would agree with Pepe that the 3D wasn't like great, but the IMAX is always awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, guys, let's get into it. Plot-wise, here comes the spoilers.
Spoilers.
I'm gonna spoil the shit
if you
out of
haven't-
this
If
movie.
you haven't seen it, you want to stop and come back after you watched it.
David, what'd you think of the plot?
So I did like I said, I probably ranked the movie. I did rank the movie higher than everyone here. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very funny. Talking to you guys about it, Leo made me realize that it was a little bit too similar to the first one, more than I realized upon further watching it. It was more upon reflecting on what Leo said, like, oh yeah, they did have that, say, a prison scene, sort of, like where the prisoners trying to escape, sort of thing, and I didn't think about that when I first watched it. But, you know, there were enough differences for me to enjoy it. I also just like that because they've already done the exposition of all the characters. We don't have to do that in this movie. They just go right into the action, which is better. So that's what I thought about it. What about you, Leo?
Yeah, like you said, yeah, I found it to be very similar to the first one, which didn't stand out until the end, and I started realizing, like, okay, did I just see the same movie? There were a lot of differences in between. There was a lot of things that I liked that they brought in that were different, and I enjoyed it.
What was it?
Drax.
Drax style?
Yeah, Drax style.
Get more dialogue.
Yeah.
What about you?
I also agree. When I first watched the first one compared to this one, it seemed very similar, but at the same time, I thought it was a lot more jokes in this movie than there were in the first one, and the fact that they added more to different characters such as Drax and more screen time for Groot, it kind of faded away from Chris Pratt's Star-Lord and Gamora's character, and then they could have cut some characters. We'll get into that a little later, but Pepe?
Well, I really enjoyed it. I give it a hard 8. But the whole thing, the music was great. I like the music, old school retro. The beginning was awesome. I really enjoyed the beginning with Groot
Me too.
dancing and he starts fighting. It was hilarious. It was a nice take to it. So I like Guardians of the Galaxy. It's funny and it's action, a little bit of everything.
Alright guys, David, quick, what do you think about the characters?
Yeah, so you touched on some things. I think Batista was definitely a much improved from the first one. Not that he was bad in the first one, but they realized that Batista can do a really good job with comedic timing. Like that character has a lot of comedy built into it, just because of the way he is. Versus Rocket Raccoon, who's more just an asshole and makes a lot of jokes. So they do a good job with bringing that out more in this movie. I thought Kurt Russell was good and bad in some ways. Some of the special effects with him towards the end, I didn't think were that great. They were a little too special effecty.
He looked like Zordon.
Yeah, Yeah.
They're pretty much doing that. Superman
They were on a budget,
battle.
yo.
They were not.
They're both fine.
And Marvel still sort of has a little bit of a villain problem, and he's not a bad villain in this one, but they still can do a little bit better. Gamora, like you said, Gamora and Star-Lord were kind of not as well utilized in this movie because there were other standouts, that's what I thought about it. Leo?
I really enjoyed, like I said, Batista. I think he really brought something fresh to the movie. Groot, he was cute, he was adorable, but I got over it pretty fast. Rocky Raccoon, he being the typical asshole. Who plays him? Bradley Cooper, yes.
His voice.
Yeah, the voice of Bradley Cooper. Yeah.
It didn't sound like him this time.
I could have done without a few characters, like, was it Nebula? But, yeah, I think the characters were well enough. I like that. Also,
Wandu?
I don't know her name.
Yeah, her name.
Yeah. His pet, pretty much.
Yeah, the pet.
Like
Kurt Russell's
Asian
pet.
woman.
I thought the interaction between her and Drax was pretty hilarious
yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Albert?
I agree with Leo. Drax stole the show. Groot, he was fun at first, and I just got tired of him. Character cuts we could have done without the Taserface, Nebula.
But I mean, what's his name? Michael Rooker's character needed an antagonist, so that's why Taserface was there. And
but nothing against him. He was fucking awesome.
Yeah, and I think the reason that I agree with both of you that Nebula really kind of, it doesn't really serve, doesn't serve a purpose here, but I think that she's going to serve a purpose in the Infinity War.
Yeah, but she only mentioned Donald's towards the end, and that's it. It's like, after like...
No, she mentions it more than once, but she was useless, I agree.
She was useless. They could have, like, had her in prison and then, like, have Gamora visit her later on or something.
They could have done an extra scene.
Yeah, exactly.
Cut out, like, 15 minutes of movie.
Yeah. So,
my favorite one's Rocket. He's hilarious, the raccoon. The part, it's the same joke from the first one where he's like, oh, take the leg, but he doesn't need the leg. So it was the eye. He starts laughing at himself like, yeah, bet you he wakes up tomorrow. He can't find his eye. It was hilarious. Yondu? Yondu. He was amazing in this part. He was a bad guy, but he's like, you know why he was doing this thing.
Yeah.
And that sick ass when he does the whistle, that's why he's badass.
Yeah.
Was I the only one having a hard time between Yondu's scene and the Sylvester Stallone scene where I couldn't understand what they were saying? I was like, what the fuck?
I was surprised to see Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, I was.
Let's get into the pros and cons, guys. David, again, what did you like about the movie?
Okay, so humor, big pro. The soundtrack, excellent. I mean, that's kind of the first one. It's a big, like Pepe said, big plot point sort of. Is the soundtrack, the 80s music, a great end scene where he gets the Zune. 300 songs. I can't believe it. What? 300 songs. That's great. So yeah, ties into that. My next pro is references. A lot of great references to the 80s music, the cars, the
Pac-Man and Skeletor.
What was the name of that? The Dairy Queen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And most of the effects were pretty good. And in terms of cons, the pacing was not really that great. And a lot of times, it took me out of the movie. Could be cut a little bit more. They could have cut maybe like 15 to 20 minutes for the movie, and it still would have been good. It was a little bit on the long side. And then Nebula being sort of a one-dimensional character that could have been taken out.
What about you, Leo?
I definitely agree with you. I think definitely the comedy aspect of this movie was great. The action sequences were great. There was a few good scenes, a few scenes I could have done without. My favorite scene was definitely, again, the escape scene. Another escape scene in this one. I think that it was pretty cool seeing, Yondu uses whistling, whatever the hell it is.
Arrow thing?
Yeah, and then just everything in slow motion, all the bodies just dropping, and then, the arrow moving around them. Yeah, I was just admiring and enjoying the whole sequence.
Yeah, because everyone's falling in slow motion.
Pretty much, yeah, from
I
beginning,
can't whistle, okay?
from beginning to end until they separate from the ship. That whole entire sequence was pretty awesome. Cons, Nebula, Taserface, that whole thing I could have done without. Yeah, those are was a pretty good movie. Those are the only kind of things, and the way kind of it's similar to the first one with the escape scene, like the major a bunch of ships disappearing at the end, you know, for attacking. That's it. That's what I think.
Albert?
For me, what I enjoyed about the movie was the Rocket Raccoon scene where he just pretty much on his own and he has to take care of Nebula and Groot, and he's just like, you know, stealthy and all this other cool stuff, and gets captured towards the end, which sucked. But that was one of my favorite scenes. The parts that I hated were the most of the Nebula scenes. Another scene, I felt like Marvel got lazy in this movie towards the end of the film, where they had to blow up Kurt Russell with the batteries that they stole from the beginning, and they could have killed him some other way. It should have been a lot better than this.
What you're talking about is like, they're just like, oh, they have the one thing that'll solve everything. That's usually called an ex machina thing in writing and movies and stories, where they're like, oh, of course they have the one thing that they need that's going to solve all the problems. And that is kind of like a lazy, easy way out.
Yeah, it makes it predictable. So
yeah.
The thing I enjoyed the most, well, the pros were, it was similar to the beginning, the first one in the way is like the music's cool, they're fun, they're having fun, they're making jokes, and there's action. That's why I really enjoyed that from the whole thing. And I really enjoyed Rocket Raccoon more than I did in the first one.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure why, but I enjoyed them a lot more.
Drax
was a lot more into it, he had more dialogue. I always like Star-Lord, Chris Pratt's cool.
Oh, Xandu.
Xandu better than
I,
he was in the
the
first
person
one.
I hated the most was like Gamora and Nebula.
Yeah, so I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, definitely.
They.
What do you have against the win?
But what about your pros? Cons, sorry.
My cons were, the main cons were Yondu dying, you know. I think he should have lived longer, at least to Infinity War. They probably died there. But
too soon.
It was way too soon. It was like he comes up.
It's already too many
He gets the
characters.
new little thing.
That's how you get rid of him.
Being a badass, and then he dies. Like, okay, what the fuck? But another con was too lovey-dovey. There had been one love story. That's fine, one.
Yeah.
It was like 4 almost.
I like how they tried to throw that. Oh, I didn't like, but they tried to throw that Gamora Star-Lord love scene again towards the end. It's like, no, you're already doing too much.
Nothing happens.
It's like once you force it, it's really
you're already doing too much with
well,
this.
again, they built it up the whole time.
Yeah, but then they fucking
No
dropped it
payoff.
towards like the last 15 minutes. It's like
And there was no
everybody
payoff.
forgot about it.
I liked it.
Of course you did.
I enjoyed the whole movie.
But I'm not a Marvel fanboy.
Hey, you're the freaking
Yeah,
one who
yeah.
likes romance movies, romantic comedies. That's all they do, romantic comedies, that cheesy.
Yeah, but there's
It's the same story again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's a time to watch an action film versus a romance.
Well, there's an action comedy film.
Yeah, I know, I get it, but it was just
Well, I
like
need to know: is my estrogen or testosterone levels to be high? Which one?
They're up and down.
It's
They're
like,
the whole movie.
they're both
Deadpool
fighting.
had the romance.
Of course it did.
What romance?
But
it was
that's
straight
the Marvel,
savagery.
That's the Marvel thing.
For 9 months.
But anywho, David, final thoughts.
So for my final thoughts, I really thought because the next big Marvel grouping together, I mean the next Marvel movie is going to be Thor, but the next like Avengers movie is going to be Infinity War Part 1, and there's not going to be another Guardians of the Galaxy before then, and they are going to be in Infinity War. So I thought they were going to build up to that more. I thought there was going to be a link or something more tying it in, and they didn't really have that, which I was surprised about. So that's kind of what I wish they would have put in. What about you, Leo?
Final thought: enjoyed the movie. Thought it was a good mix between action and comedy. Definitely go see it, and that's it.
What did you give it?
8.
What is it, a hard 8 or a soft 8?
It's barely pushing an 8. It's barely.
What about you, Albert? Final thoughts?
For my final thought, wish they didn't cram so much into it with the whole love story like everybody has mentioned so far. I wish they would have left Nebula out, like I said earlier. I agree with Pepe. Yondu should have lived till the next movies are coming up. For the amount of characters they had, could have seen a little bit more action from it instead of all these like emotions of them talking to each other. It's like I don't have time for that.
And extra characters that didn't need to be there.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like just get to the point. I want to see some action. I want to see the special effects, and I want to see what I paid for, which is like the 3D. So
That's why I don't agree with you guys with Yondu. I'm like, there's already too many characters as it is in Infinity War with Avengers and Guardians and whoever else they decide to bring in, Spider-Man.
They could have
It's
done more with the
Spider-Man's already there,
3D
bro.
special
Yeah.
effects with that arrow. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
That would have been badass.
Straight
It
at
came
you and then
at you.
stopped and then.
Yeah,
slowed down.
they should have done that.
That would have been
they-
dope.
they
Like
fucked
some
up.
Terminator shit right there.
Yeah, they should have added. They should have added that.
No.
What about you, Pepe? Final thoughts?
My final thoughts piggyback a little bit off you guys, honestly. I wish there was a reason for him to go back to Earth. Like, say in the ending scene after the credits, there's like, oh, you went back to Earth to fucking see how Earth is now because he hasn't been there since he was a kid.
The Great. Yeah.
Oh yeah, see the grave or something, and then
The
Star
Great
Wars there with everybody, and like out of nowhere, like you start hearing about this shit that's going down, which is like the Infinity War. That was just coming, so that's how they get connected.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how it happened. Maybe
Yeah.
that's how they're gonna have them.
You heard it first.
You heard it first.
He never knew that what's his name was taking over Earth with that.
No, I mean
Oh,
like,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I mean,
going
like
back,
after
just
losing
stuff,
his
yeah.
daddy,
Yeah.
he'll probably be like, "Let me go back to where I'm originally from,
Yeah,
see
see,
how
'cause
things are going there."
Another one
Those
too.
are
I
my
wish
mom's
they would have had
favorite.
like a main bad guy.
Yeah,
Because there
I
was
miss his mom,
two
too.
bad guys. It was like they don't have one main bad guy. It would have been nice. Because they had the perfect people going against them, and the dad's the bad guy. Pretty much it.
Alright guys, well that was our video. If you liked what you watched, let us know in the comments down below. If you want to request something for us to review, let us know in the comments as well. And
Please watch our other content.
please
We
watch
have
our
a
other
video.
content
You can add those.
I'm not-
Don't forget to share.
and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, share.
Until next time.